everyone, I'm Danielle with Trinity Readings, and we are just going to do what is going on with my voice? We're just going to do an energy check-in. This is going to be for the sign of Scorpio. Just checking in on your energy, anything you need to know, any messages your guides want to relay to you. Whenever you come across this, if you were drawn to the title, there's likely a message in here for you. But do keep in mind, these are general readings, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you find that the reading doesn't resonate, you can always check your moon, rising, or Venus placements, because sometimes those will resonate more. And I do offer personal readings. You can get all that information in the description box. So let us see, Scorpios, what is the biggest, most important message that is wanting to come through for you? I definitely feel like there's a really strong message to speak your truth, to speak up for yourself, especially in relationships with other people. I feel like speaking your truth is going to bring you blessings. The more you speak your truth, the more you will receive. I feel like speaking up for yourself is what is necessary to manifest change. And it's important to speak your truth, speak your perceptions, speak your... I also feel like it's important to speak what you want into existence. Don't speak about the things that are going wrong. Don't speak about your fears. Speak on what you want to create. I feel like that's also an important message in your relationships with other people. If you're trying to approach a problem in a relationship, right? A lot of times we will say, this is what I'm upset about, A, B, and C, right? And that's all well and good, right? But it's kind of just as important to offer up a solution. Do you know what I mean? Or offer up if you're saying to somebody, I don't like when you joke around with me, right? Provide what you would like, right? I like when people hype me up. I like when people are saying positive things to me. You know what I mean? Speak on what you would like to create more than speaking on the problems, especially in relationships with other people. Okay, let me see if I can get some clarity on this message. Any more to this message? I also kind of feel like you are making a lot of really big changes and really significant changes. You're focused on the truth. You're focused on standing in your truth. You're focused on expressing your truth. And you're going to see that, you're going to see the blessings that come with that. I feel like you've been going through this like trial by fire. Like you've had to kind of like learn lessons in a more difficult way. Like you're learning lessons. You've learned lessons because of being triggered by other people or because of like heavy relationships, toxic relationships. Like that's been a lot of your experience, and I feel like that's just a very Scorpio kind of thing. Unfortunately, Scorpio energy in general tends to really trigger people just for no other reason other than when you connect to people, you're such an in-depth energy, you're such a deep sign, you connect to people's truth, and it reflects it kind of like basically is reflecting their shadows to them, and they don't even realize that this is what's going on, but your energy can trigger people. And what will happen with that is people don't always like to be seen. People don't always like to feel exposed, right? And so what you will find is in Scorpio's life span, people will tend to consistently try to project their own bullshit onto you, right? And I feel like that's the experience that you've been dealing with, that people are like constantly trying to compete with you, or constantly trying to create conflict or project their own shit onto you. And I feel like you've kind of like recognized that, right? And you're not, you've pulled away from just entertaining like competitive type of people. You've walked away from, people that just want to trigger you. You've walked away from entertaining conflict, right? And I feel like you're in this really strong space with it. The only thing is I feel like because of the experiences that you've had with kind of toxic people in the past, you might be kind of like more protective of yourself when you're connecting to new people, right? It's like you're so used to dealing with people who like constantly like attack and argue that you're very hesitant when it comes to connecting to anybody new. And I feel like that's your guidance. Like just because not everybody feels comfortable with what you have to say, just because not everybody feels comfortable with how intense your presence is, just because people consistently say you're too much, you're too intense, you're too deep, you're too emotional, just because other people have complained about that doesn't mean that that's not a valuable aspect of who you are, right? Just because not everybody likes your energy doesn't mean that you have to withhold your energy. Let me see if we can get some more details on this, if there's any more messages. Yeah, you're showing up as 10 of Swords, and it's just like, it just feels like constantly dealing with people projecting their own shit onto you, whether it be accusing you of things that they themselves are doing, or blaming you for their mistakes, or throwing all their problems on you, expecting you to fix them. But it's like you've had enough. And I also feel that you've dealt with a lot of betrayal, a lot of backstabbing. Yeah. And so because of that, you're very protective of your energy, right? And it's good to be protective, especially when you've dealt with a lot of toxic people. But sometimes when you're too protective, that kind of prevents the things you want from flowing in. I do also feel for some of you that there's a situation or a person that you're dealing with that is constantly like pulling you down, dragging you down, draining you. And I feel like it's, whatever this is, it's necessary for you to put some boundaries around it. But you've come to the end, right? You can't continue to go on the same path. You can't continue to deal with the same draining situations. And again, I feel like you've really learned to master not letting that energy bother you, not letting other people's projections affect you. And you've done good. You've done really good. You're moving towards wish fulfillment. You're moving towards emotional fulfillment. But it's like, I feel like it's time for you to receive. It's time for you to receive abundance. It's time for you to receive love. It's time for you to receive everything that you've kind of given out. But because of all of the betrayal that you've kind of dealt with, because of all the past stuff that you've dealt with, it's like you worked really hard to like put up these boundaries, right? And that's good. Like, you need to have boundaries up, but it's like you don't want to carry the boundaries around like armor that doesn't let anything come in. I feel like you are moving towards relief. I feel like you're moving towards a lot of blessings. The next step, the path to kind of your fulfillment, right? It's not going to necessarily look how you would expect for it to look. Because in all honesty, with everything you've dealt with, like, you've dealt with so much toxicity, you've dealt with so much betrayal, you're not likely to be drawn towards, like, you're not likely to get excited if a positive opportunity shows up in front of you, right? I also feel like because of all this kind of like heaviness from the past, that it is kind of difficult to see the path forward, that it is even difficult to put any kind of structure or purposeful movement to like your own next step, right, to the path forward. And so I feel like it's like the opportunity that you're looking for, the opportunity that's going to lead to your wish fulfillment, is honestly going to show up as some kind of conflict. It's going to show up as a trigger. It's going to show up as an uncomfortable kind of feeling, but it's meant for you. This is the way forward. The trigger is the way forward, and it's a matter of looking at this conflict from a different perspective, like not seeing the conflict or the challenge in front of you as a bad sign or something negative or something even like meant to bring you difficulty. It's meant to help you. It's meant to help you. And it's not that you have to engage in the conflict. It's not that you have to roll over and accept something that doesn't feel comfortable, but you're meant to kind of look at this from all aspects. Because if you can ground yourself this can lead to abundance. And so your guidance is the Devil card. Your guidance is to acknowledge your shadows, acknowledge your fears, acknowledge. So shadow of Scorpio, like every zodiac sign has a high vibration and a low vibration. It has a shadow side and a light side, right? So the shadows that you kind of naturally have to deal with are power struggles, right? Getting into power struggles with other people, whether it be people trying to control you or trying to control the narrative or vice versa, right? It will be like too much secrecy, too much holding back what you need to say. It's also like the shadow of Scorpio is also like obsessive focus and obsessive thinking, because Scorpio energy is like super passionate, right? They're super passionate about everything that they're involved in, and they're also like digging to find the truth, and sometimes that can become this obsessive like dig for answers, right? And this obsessive overthinking. And where you have to be careful with that is from an energetic perspective. Whatever you're focusing on, you're manifesting. And so if you're obsessively focusing on this person that pissed you off and why they would do that, and just continuously like ruminating on that is going to be the energy that continues to manifest. Like Scorpio can be their greatest strength and their own greatest weakness, just depending on what they're focusing on, right? And Scorpio, for Scorpio, it's very easy to get in that kind of like negative thought loop, right? And so that's just something to be careful of. And so when whatever conflict you're dealing with, right? Even with like people that, I'm a Scorpio, and I noticed that people really seem to enjoy like challenging me. Does that make sense? Like my son was like always challenging me, but like people like to kind of get into that competitive type of space with me. And mind you, I'm a competitive person a lot of times too, so I enjoy a challenge. Like I enjoy a debate, I enjoy a challenge, right? But whatever this is that you're dealing with, you don't want to approach it as a challenge that has to be fought and won, because that's what's going to just keep spinning you in the power struggle dynamic of it, right? Now, mind you, you don't need to surrender control, right? You don't just need to give in, but don't look at it in a competitive type of aspect, right? Just be mindful of your own shadow self, right? The light side of Scorpio is that you are very passionate, that you do feel things very deeply, and that means that you're a very powerful manifester. You're an extremely powerful manifester. Anything that you feel some type of way about and you keep your focus on, you're going to manifest it easily. But if there's any negative thought intertwined in that, any fear intertwined in that, that's what's going to manifest. Give me one more on the guidance. Yeah, you need to, it's kind of like you need to look for the bright side. Put light on your shadows. And also even with your relationships with other people. I notice this a lot because of my job, I guess. People will have problems or issues or concerns or be upset about things in relationships, and we don't deal with it with other people. Like, and I do this too, but like, people will be upset about somebody who doesn't show them consistency or whatever it is that they do, but they won't say anything to that person. They won't like bring it out in the open, because if I bring it out in the open, they'll get mad, they'll get upset, they'll be too scared, they'll think I'm being for whatever reason. And so you hold all this stuff in that you're upset about and hoping that another person will change, but it never gets brought out in the open, right? And we always think that people should know. People should know when they're saying something that's hurting your feelings. People should know when they're doing stuff wrong. If they're not being told that it's wrong, they don't know. And I don't mean to make excuses for people, but like, I had a client that her person, like, when they're having a bad day, they just kind of like let it all out, right? Every bad thing, they just like dump it on her, right? And it bothers her. It feels heavy for her, right? And she always says, like, why doesn't he realize that hurts me? And I'm like, well, how do you respond? And she says, I try to calm him down. I try to help him out. And so when he's dumping all this on her, she's soothing him. So he's not seeing it as something wrong. And so that's what you have to kind of keep in mind. If it doesn't get brought to light, you know what I mean? If you're not giving somebody the opportunity to see, right? Then it just dwells in the dark. You know what I mean? At least if it's out on the table and they do disrespect it and say whatever, then at least you know and you can make the proper decision. What you're not seeing as justice, it's like, this is what I learned too, and I don't remember where I initially read it, but like the majority of relationships, the majority of like how most of the time when I can talk. Most relationships are power struggle dynamics, right? Most of the energies that are flowing back and forth in a relationship are power struggle dynamics. And you have two different types of relationships. You have power struggles that are competitive, that are never going to go anywhere. They're just going to keep spinning in the same cycle. And then you have relationships that are actually going to grow and evolve, right? And you have to be able to look at, is this a power dynamic in this relationship, or is this actually growing, right? Am I entertaining the power struggle, or am I doing things to make this relationship grow and evolve? If, like, for example, when people first start dating, right? One person is sitting there ready for this to become a commitment, ready for this to become more, and they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting, and the other person's not doing anything and they're getting mad, right? This person's like, how come they haven't stepped up? How come they haven't opened up? How come they haven't expressed anything to me, right? And so this person over here is getting mad because this person's not doing anything, but this person hasn't been told by this person that they want a relationship, because they're not saying that they want a relationship because they don't want to scare the other person away, right? And so everybody's like moving based on what they assume is going on with the other person instead of bringing it out there on the table, right? A relationship that you can actually grow and evolve with is the relationship that you're going to be able to speak how you feel and what you want no matter what, right? And so that's what you're needing to kind of look at. And then at the same time, if the majority of the connections that you have, friendship, family, work, whatever, if the majority of the connections that you have are sitting in a power dynamic, right? If they are more control-based, power struggle, competitive type of relationships, that's the energy that you're dealing with the most often. And so everything else that flows to you, or that flows, is going to be in that more battle, competitive type of energy. If you want things to flow to you easily, then it would be helpful to connect to people that encourage growth, to connect to relationships in a way that there isn't those fierce boundaries and those power struggles, right? Because the Strength card is the overall energy. The Strength card represents your inner power, right? Your power. If half of your energy is going to competitive, like competition in your relationships, then that's draining the energy that you have that is needed to attract things that you actually want. And so overall, like if it's heavy, if it's competitive, if it's, you know what I mean? Like bring those things out to light, bring those hidden things to light so they're not like silent drains on your energy, and they can be put out in the open and you can move forward. And so there's something that you're dealing with that in order for this to move forward or be the change that you want it to be, you're going to have to deal with an element of discomfort, right? You're going to have to deal with the discomfort of approaching the conflict in a different way. And I feel like it's by bringing everything to light that that kind of keeps getting avoided. I hope that makes sense, and I love you guys. Bye bye.